This paper dropped today. It has 20 authors, so many actually that the byline doesn't even list where they work, just a footnote. A full list of affiliation appears at the end of the paper. And what all 20 agree on in this Nature Review Drug Discovery is this. We are 10 years into the AI drug discovery hype cycle, and evidence that any of it has gotten a drug to a patient faster or cheaper or safer is, in their words, disappointingly limited. And I do agree with that. I would have hoped that in 2026 we have plenty of AI drugs. But this paper isn't a takedown, and it's not a press release, it's a Nature perspective. So that's the type of format where senior people from the industry say what they actually think. The lead author is Andreas Bender. And instead of one big argument, they go section by section, where AI helped, where it didn't, and why. So the first chart is interesting. They model what happened to the cost of getting one drug to the market if you get 20% faster, cheaper, or with fewer failures at every stage. Hit discovery through approval. Their own words, reducing failure rates at phase 2 had the greatest impact, bigger than any other single stage in the pipeline. And that's not where most AI effort in small molecule discovery currently goes. They say straight out that it's concentrated in the earlier preclinical stages. Second chart is almost funnier. Projects that use biomarkers to pick the right patient cost roughly half the successful launch as projects that didn't. Half, that's not really an AI story, that's know who you're treating actually. Here is a distinction that should be on the t-shirt in every AI pharma pitch deck. A ligand binds a drug. A drug is a ligand that also survives the human body without wrecking your liver or any other organ and actually helping the patient. The paper opens this section borrowing a line from a 1997 paper by Goldstein and Brown, riffling on René Magritte, a gene sequence is not a drug. Same idea 30 years on, a ligand is not a drug. Over 1 million known bioactive ligands sit in databases like Campbell or PubChem. Approved drugs on the market, on the other hand, are only in the order of 1,000, or a few thousand actually. When a company says its AI discovered a drug, ask which word is doing the drug. So one of the better science analogy I've read this year, the observable universe has at least 200 billion galaxies, something like 10 to the power of 24 stars. The chemical space, so every possible small molecule that looks like a drug, is still bigger. It's 10 up to 60 compounds by their estimate. Then they show what that actually means with 4 real databases used to train AI model for drug absorption and toxicity, solubility, permeability, crossing the blood-brain barrier, clearance. Overlap between those 4 datasets, 0.1% of compounds, 0.6% of scaffold. So we are training models on tiny, barely overlapping corners of a near infinite space and hoping they generalize to everywhere we haven't sampled. The argument, I think, will actually surprise people outside of ML. A model can be technically excellent, great test set score, and still be useless for the decision it's meant to support. They built a specific example, 2 models, near identical accuracy, same AUC curve. In early screening, picking the top 10% of a huge library, Model 2 finds twice as many real hits as Model 1. Flip to the late stage, deselecting toxic compounds before a patient ever sees them, and Model 1 suddenly beats Model 2 threefold. Same models, same benchmark score. Opposite winner, depending what decision you're actually making. If your company bought an AI tool of a leaderboard number, this chart should actually worry you. For a paper with this many industry co-authors, they don't dodge the current obsession. Their line on LLM in drug discovery is verbatim, it should be emphasized that they solely process pattern in language on a statistical basis rather than reason. Scoring well on an agentic AI demo they add isn't the same as the task being the right one to automate. So what's the fix? Not more data, but the right data generated in 2 phases. First, cheap exploration to find which proxy measurement actually predict clinical outcomes. Then a production phase that scales up only the one that pass. And since no single company covers chemical space alone, they point to consortia already trying this, like ADMET, backed by 30 million from ARPA, Ligand AI, and a virtual cell pharmacology effort out of Ginkgo Bioworks. Different founders, same bet, that the bottleneck was never the algorithm. They end on a line that's basically the whole paper in one sentence. The relevant success metrics for AI in drug discovery need to be numbers that matters, rather than contrived proxy that primarily optimize for scientific publication than actual R&D progress. So it's 20 offers, several of them with an obvious stake in this technology succeeding, putting their names to that. I think it's a very important paper to read, and it tells you where we are 10 years into AI for drug discovery hype cycle. And again, we all want this to succeed, but we still have a lot of work.